is Tom Condone, Director of Sport and Member Development at US Youth Soccer. After my collegiate playing career, I received a call from one of my former teammates who said that there was a job opportunity down at a college called Spring Hill College, which is a small NAIA school in Mobile, Alabama. And at the time, I had played at the University of Alabama at Birmingham. And when I received that phone call, I went ahead and interviewed for that job, and really that was my first taste of coaching, and I loved it so much I continued on with my licenses. After Spring Hill, I coached at Tennessee Wesleyan, men and women, as well as Spring Hill. And then also after that, I went on to become the technical director at Tennessee Soccer, one of the 54 state associations under the auspice of US Youth. And after that, I became the executive director at Alabama Soccer, and now here at USYS serving as a director of sport and member development. Well, I can tell you this, I wish I had the Olympic development program as an opportunity to help with some of my challenges. I think really for me the biggest challenge was just maintaining confidence, because certainly for me as a player, I was always just within my own environment. I never had that opportunity to experience challenges outside of my environment, so I stayed fairly comfortable. It wasn't until I went to the college route where I became a little nervous and a little apprehensive about my abilities as a player. So I just had to learn to take a step back, reflect, and figure out the next steps. And I really had some good coaches along the way, as well as some teammates of mine who certainly became friends and are still friends of mine through all these years. First and foremost, thank you to Todd Sheely, to Dave and Steve and Joy and just the entire Indiana staff for putting together a great event. When I see takeaways, number one, the organization. I think that's extremely important no matter what event you're running. So I think the organization has been just top-notch. When you talk about facilities, without question, this is arguably the finest facility that I've seen when you're talking about a sports complex. The sub-regional event that we're here for, I think it's awesome because it kind of speaks to what we've been talking about, as well as I like to use the word exposure. So these players are having a great opportunity to not only play against the other top players in the other respective states, but also playing in front of college coaches. So now there's a value add, a recruiting benefit. The opportunity to play in front of MLS scouts, US soccer scouts, the ability to have a college panel discussion where parents and players can ask questions about the recruiting process, the ability to have a social gathering with the Olympic Development Program staff and college coaches for everyone who's here in attendance. These are extremely beneficial to the growth of our game. So when you look at the model that's being run here, when you look at a sub-regional event, it's very important that we can bring this back to our other communities or other state associations. So hopefully we can replicate this. And now all of a sudden, besides the traditional region camp, interregionals, and national training camp that USYS provides, how can we sow seeds for more sub-regional type events that I think would be a value add and certainly an advantage for other clusters of states within our nation. When I speak of USYS ODP, it's a shared experience. As everyone knows, USYS ODP has state, regional, and national programming. And USYS does oversee the regional and national piece. But I like to call it a shared experience with our state associations. It is very important that USYS works with our member state associations to ensure that we put together the best product possible for our players, not only at the state level, but at the regional and national levels as well. ODP is instrumental in the development of a player, both on and off the field. It's not just getting a result. It is the opportunity, as some people say, getting comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I think that's what ODP can do for a player. It is first and foremost, the ability to play with different players, interact and learn with other coaches. When we speak about challenging the player, maybe it's a different system of play that they're not used to because they're so entrenched within their club or high school environment. It's the opportunity to possibly play a different position. Again, challenging that player. It's the opportunity to maybe come off the bench, which is something maybe that they're not used to. How do they deal with that piece? So I think there's a lot of intangibles that the Olympic Development Program brings that I think really helps the player. And again, although I believe that identification is important, it's all about growth opportunities and really putting the player in the position to succeed no matter what level they're at. When we talk about the connection between USYS, ODP, and the state association's involvement with their own state programming, I think it starts with state leadership, primarily the state technical directors. For me as a director of sport and member development, it's very important that we stay in constant communication with our state associations. I had a conversation with Dave Guthrie, Executive Director at Indiana Soccer, about what is our role at USYS. And I still think this speaks to ODP. For me, the role is to support and strengthen the state associations. And the Olympic Developmental Program is a big piece to that. So I think the communication piece with the state technical directors and just the opportunity to share best practices, exchange ideas, to figure out what's going on within their local communities and how we can possibly use some of what they do at the local level to see if it works at the regional and national level as well. And when we talk about the components of the game of soccer, I think we've done a very good job with the technical side, the tactical side, making decisions, the physical component, the athlete that we have. But there is that mental side that I think, I don't know if the word is struggle, but there's certainly improvement. Coming off of COVID, it has been amplified because we've seen kind of the mental side deteriorate with some of our athletes just because the opportunity to participate and play at all levels. So I know Indiana Soccer has some technology that I am very excited to work with Dave Guthrie and Indiana Soccer on to see if this is something that we can bring at a national level, which not only could help with the mental side of the game, the side that I believe that improvement is something that we need to be better at, but also the opportunity to integrate this with our Olympic Development Program. I think that would separate us from some of the other programs and again, put together another piece of value that I think when families are looking at what is best for my child and when you're looking at how can a program supplement my child who's currently playing club in high school, now all of a sudden the Olympic Development Program could certainly be a viable answer for these families. I believe we need to do a better job with outreach. How can we bring more kids to the game? How can we drive grassroots participation without the encumbrance of a pay-to-play model? Now, when you look at state associations, I think Indiana Soccer is at the top. Everything that you have done for that population. But it's really building the base of the pyramid. How can we create active and healthy lifestyles using soccer as a sport to execute that? There are some initiatives that USYS are proposing to do. Our relationship with the U.S. Soccer Foundation to have an in-school PE program, specifically schools in under-resourced communities, Title I schools, that we can have children to have the opportunity to sample soccer and have an enjoyment of it, an intent to play. So maybe we can now, put them in a situation that they can play after school or connect them with a local club. The USYS University, which is an online resource center in which we have foundation partners that span across a number of educational disciplines to help provide support and guidance for our membership. So we're very happy about having that as a piece. One of those foundation partners is Mojo, which is a video library. And it's specific to the volunteer parent coach, that first-time coach, that's a very important coach that we need to make sure that they have the resources to be successful, because they're the first ones that are talking to these players, because it's the first time that these kids are playing soccer. So we need to make sure it's done right at the base of the pyramid. And Mojo's done a really good job with a games-based approach and having activities that are age appropriate to put these parent coaches, to put these volunteer coaches in an opportunity to be successful. I think first and foremost they need to check in with the player. Really talk to the child to see what they're thinking. Because sometimes what mom and dad think, the son or daughter may have some different thoughts. So I think having a candid discussion with their child is certainly important. Having conversations with their local club and high school coach, because I do believe that as a former club coach, I would always promote the Olympic Development Program, because again, it is a supplement to what they are receiving at the club level. Now, I say this with caution because I'm speaking with more of the older age groups, because I don't want children to get burnt out, so to speak. So when we talk about the younger ages, I'm more of a multi-sport participation guy. I want to see boys and girls not only play soccer, participate in other sports, possibly pick up a musical instrument. Maybe the arts is something that they want to do. We want them to be well-rounded. But when they get to that mini adult, when it becomes 11v11 and it's 13 and up, and soccer is their now primary sport, I really believe that the Olympic Development Program can provide those advantages to put that player in a position to succeed both on and off the field.